So
I wanted to talk about trash.
we can, and maybe we can get there.
Dude, did you see that? Wasn't that photo I sent you crazy? With Manhattan in the background and just a barge of garbage.
Oh, John. John.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Hey, you guys want our trash because we don't have any fucking room for it? Put it on a barge and send it over.
I mean, you have to think. All of the garbage out of Manhattan goes elsewhere.
Yeah.
All of it.
Mm-hmm. There's
all
not
of
a
it.
single bit of it that...
And all the poop.
Yeah.
That's why all the mafia families get into waste management.
I would.
Because
then you could manage other stuff.
Can you ever?
I thought they were reopening Fresh Kills because they needed space to dump stuff. This is a while ago.
You should look into that.
I should.
Fresh Kills?
Do you want to hear the most ironic thing in the world?
I'd love to.
So when 9/11 happened, they needed space to process all the material.
Sure.
So there was an abandoned landfill on Long Island that they took all the material to.
Long Island.
Long Island. And
Did they truck it all? They trucked it all, didn't
trucked every bit of it.
Yeah.
And it was all, they had these crushers and they had them under these giant canopies so that the FBI and the CIA could stand over and watch all the stuff coming off the belt.
Just wild.
And the place that all happened was Fresh Kills Landfill.
Brutal.
It's Swedish. They named it after a Swedish guy. Kils.
Kills. Okay.
That must have been the largest demolition
Or maybe it is
project.
Kills. Yeah, it was. Unsanctioned.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, but just the cleanup of all of that debris.
Yeah, Fresh Kills. Kils. That's right. Yeah. So that's ironic.
Okay.
Kind of shitty.
All right. Well,
Don't you
with
think?
that, welcome to the podcast, everybody.
One more thing.
Uh-huh.
I have a purchased order request I found on Facebook Marketplace today. In Murfreesboro, there is a UFC octagon for sale.
How much is it?
Best offer.
Oh, no, that's
no
how you
kidding.
get a business.
Well, put an offer in.
I'm thinking about it.
I'd spend at least $50 on that.
I don't know
Where do we put it? In the parking lot over there?
I really think we should buy the lot across the street.
I do want
Think
to
of
know.
all the things we could do there. We could have a sandbox. We could have a UFC ring. End of list.
Wacky, wavy, inflatable arm playing tube band?
Yeah, that's all you need.
Like a whole forest of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're a professional business after all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having an octagon.
Yeah, just for when you need to settle something.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, Jocko's whole thing is like sparring and like the jujitsu stuff. We could just kind of start that here.
Yeah.
Build it.
Well, Nikki was like, where would we put it? And me and Chase were like, we'll just put it in the corner and then our desk could be in the octagon.
Like, hey, where do you want to have our meeting? In the octagon.
Dude, there was remember the old ESPN commercials? I forget who it was, but it was a fighter and he was at a cubicle. But it had like a fence around it.
Yeah.
It was like an octagon.
Yeah.
And he's like, and the guy walks up in a suit. He's like, hey, can we talk about something? And he's like, yeah. Come on in.
I loved that series of commercials so much. My favorite one that I'll never forget ever. Like, it's always going to be funny to me. They're like in the lunchroom and they're, you know, finished making their plates and they walk over to get drinks. And Arnold Palmer walks up and he gets a glass and he puts a little tea in one, puts a little lemonade in it, and then puts a little tea back on the top, and he walks away. And the guys behind him go, awesome.
Do you remember the Kobe Bryant commercials where Kobe Bryant was like a fake motivational speaker?
I do not.
And it was like a
No.
crowd of actors, like famous people.
Oh, really?
And Kobe Bryant was just saying some random bullshit. And my favorite one was like Kanye West was in the crowd. And Kobe Bryant says something, and then Kanye West is like, what the fuck does that even mean, Kobe Bryant? I'll have to send you. There's like 6 of them.
I don't know that I ever saw those.
They're the funniest commercials I've ever seen.
I love that.
I like when they have really famous people do really small parts.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like there was this one TV show where it's like Tom Brady walks out of this place and he's like, "What's up?"
And like that's
And
it.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's Tom Brady.
The most
Like, that's
expensive
crazy.
cameo in the world.
Yeah. Or they had the Florida Gator in the elevator.
Uh-huh.
And Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin tackles the Florida Gator. Anyway.
Those are good ones.
Anyway.
Commercial talk.
Dirt Talk.
Anyway, so welcome to Dirt Talk. I'm Alex Horton, joined by Aaron Witt. and Eric Jumper.
And Billy Big Rigger.
Billy Big Rigger himself. Got Harrison over in the corner doing his thing. Thank you, sir. I want to change it up a little bit today here at the Dirt Talk Studios. I want to get you out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Oh no. What did I walk into?
We're just gonna explore the space, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Is this an intervention?
Yeah, actually, there's 5 people outside. It's your whole family, actually.
Oh no.
They're all gonna come in and they're gonna say what you've really failed at.
Wolf.
I'm
Okay.
gonna talk to you about your waffle consumption.
There's Eggos being made in the kitchen
I saw
now.
that. I'm not happy about it.
Okay, so what I would like to do today is I'd love to hear each of yours like worst job mistake story. Yeah, barring flipping the skid steer in its head, which we don't need to get into.
I've made a really cool one. There's a really just a quick story. This wasn't the worst, but I don't know if I told on the podcast or not, but when I was stemming blast drill holes we basically had piles of stemming by each drill hole, very haphazardly placed because we had a telehandler.
Yeah,
we didn't have a skid steer load or anything, so you had to place stemming with the telehandler. It sucked, and you couldn't get it back on some of the shots. It was so every hole had to be stemmed with a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah,
so you'd grab your pea gravel, pour it in the hole, go grab another bucket, pour it in the hole, and do that for a whole pattern. And sometimes I was the only one up there. But I would clip a radio to my vest, and they were expensive radios because we were kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And as I was loading one shot, the radio unclipped from my vest and just went right into the hole. Just
like perfectly like, whoop.
Yeah, and I could hear the people talking at the bottom of the hole. and I panicked. And I tried to fish it out, but there was just no hope in getting that thing out of. I mean, it's 40 feet down in solid rock with like a 4-inch hole.
Yeah.
So they called me radio the rest of the summer. That was sick. Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
That's more of just like a bummer.
Yeah.
Bummer move.
Yeah. I was just like,
and maybe it doesn't have to be worse, but just
I have to whatever I've done, I have to bring back to the surface because I've buried it.
That's what therapy's for.
Oh, I haven't really flipped anything over, or like I've never like dropped a rock truck on its side. Broken a lot of glass. Broken a lot of windows.
I've ruined a lot of things for how little operating experience and construction experience I have.
You had a high usage rate when it comes to did you break stuff in the amount of time you were out there?
Yeah, like I have a long list of getting stuck.
Yeah.
I've got a long list of getting stuff stuck.
I got a lot of stuff stuck in South Carolina.
I think that's just part of working in South Carolina.
I guess one thing I can remember is when we were, I guess a couple things. So when we had our family company, we had a janky ass PC 220 that we rented to do a subdivision.
Do a subdivision.
We did. It was like 4 homes. It was a really small. Basically, just had it to dig the basements. It was already on grade. But it was like a low income housing, so it was like really tiny homes. So we had this janky ass Komatsu, and I was tracking it across the job, and I wasn't paying attention at all because I was like 18. Though my head was probably buried in my phone as I was walking across the job. And the track had come off the machine. Like it had walked off. It didn't come apart. It just came off. And somehow I had kept going for a distance. And the track had come all the way off the machine. And I just kept going. And I just kind of turned a little bit because obviously it's only walking on one track. And all of a sudden I'm like, something's wrong. And I look down and there's a track on. And the idler is just in the dirt. And I spin the machine around and the track is just like laying there all lumped up like a cake that just fell on the floor. And I'm like, oh shit, what did I do? Because I've never had that happen before. And as I'm talking about this, I'm remembering all the stuff that's happened to me. It's all coming back.
Did the track break?
No, it just fell off. It had like 10,000 hours on it. It was the original track. So,
and that's not something you just throw back on and keep rolling.
Believe it or not, when they're that worn out, and if they like fall off like that, in some situations you can put it back on the machine with the bucket.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We went back over. My dad came over. My uncle came over. They walked the machine back over. They picked the track up. They got it on the sprocket, and then they dragged it with the bucket up to the idler. And then you pick the machine up. You kind of
Wow.
It took about 3 hours to get it back on.
Sure.
It's not a fun time. You also might have to use like a come along or a cable with another machine to like drag it back over.
Yeah.
Another situation where that happened, another janky Komatsu, a different company I was working for.
Not that Komatsus are necessarily janky, just those
particular
Komatsus
ones
were
were
janky.
past their time and should have had
There's janky equipment of every brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
these janky Komatsus. I tell you
Are
what.
we're equipment agnostic.
This janky iron.
I've seen garbage machines of every brand.
Yeah.
There's people can ruin them all.
Well, guess what? Today we're talking about janky Komatsus.
Okay.
So this was a 228, so it was a zero swing, and I was loading trucks with nasty muck, so like mud that was stripped off the job, and I was on top of the muck pile, stupidly, and I wasn't. So when you're loading trucks on a pile and it's like soft, you're supposed to, as you're digging, the force of the machine is pushing the tracks so you're on level. So you're supposed to like prop yourself up and move yourself around a little bit and keep fixing underneath you so you can stay level and not sink. And I wasn't doing that. I was just not feeling it. I was lazy. And I went to change spots on the pile so I can bring more material to the front. And as I was doing that, I twisted the whole machine 90 degrees and popped the track off.
Oh, nice.
To the inside of the frame. And I panicked. And then I made it worse.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
how it
I
usually goes.
made it really bad. And then they ended up having to walk the machine off the pile. And it was in such a bad spot, they actually had to separate the tracks and then lay it out, stretch it out again, and then retrack it and then repin it.
Oh.
That one sucked. I hated that.
Because when they put it back together, you're like, thanks.
Oh, yeah. And the trucks had to keep getting loaded, so they put me on this old-ass loader to load the trucks with.
Was it also a Komatsu?
It was a John Deere. So I had to load.
See, they can be old ass in all kinds
Yeah.
of ways.
Yeah.
And I had to watch them. There was like 3 mechanics that had to come over and work on this thing.
Yeah.
And I had to watch them work on my mistake as I'm loading these trucks with this non-air conditioned loader. And I'm just like, oh, I messed up.
Are there typically a mechanic on site? Like on larger...
Well, unless it's a really big job.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a typical site work job, it's usually like for like let's say a 300 employee earth moving company, there's probably like 2 road mechanics and they'll bounce around to jobs all day.
Just whoever needs something, they go there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then, yeah, real big jobs, they'll have somebody or multiple people just dedicated.
Sure.
to it.
Because there's just enough equipment that
Yeah.
something's always going to be
Something's
broken
always
down.
broken. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the one time I was convinced I was going to get fired was the signal cable on the railroad. I feel like I've told that story. Have I told
Maybe.
that story?
That doesn't sound super familiar to me.
I feel like I have. It was, we were
Yeah,
working.
you have.
Yeah, we're doing siding track for a railroad.
Mhm.
That
Nondescript.
starts with a U.
I don't feel bad for them. They're in rough waters right now. So you can.
It's a chugga chugga, ends with choo choo.
Yeah, so we're doing siding tracks. So there's live track right next to us, freight trains. This is main line, 120 trains a day.
Choo choo.
So it's like full bore, flat out mainline track from the port of LA going east, typically. So we're doing this track. We're having to grade it, bring it to subgrade before we can do all the ballast and aggregate and all that. We have a scraper in there, paddle wheel scraper. And earlier that day, the paddle wheel scraper dug up some black cable. And then the railroad came over. Oh, that's just old signal cable. You can get it out of the way. So we grab it, cut it out of the way, pretty haphazardly, toss it aside. We keep moving. Nothing happened. It happens again. The scraper digs up some signal cable. But this time, he dug up. It wasn't just the cable. It was like spools of cable. Like spools buried.
Oh. Weird.
And I figured it was the same thing. I was like,
Sure.
well, I'm going to save these guys time.
Yeah.
I'm going to go grab the backhoe,
Yeah.
a clapped out Caterpillar backhoe,
Yeah.
just to keep everything equal around
Yeah.
here. And I go grab it and throw it out of the way. And then not 5 minutes later on the radio, hey, dispatch has talked to us, and there's a potential break in the line somewhere in our area. There's no signal. Signal just dropped out. And I knew like right then I fucked up. I did that.
Yeah.
So then I had to go over to the boss and go show them the exact spot where I dug it up, and they had to go in there and sit, and it's 120 degrees, sit out in this hole and reconnect the cable, the signal line, as trains had to go from full speed to 5 miles per hour through this whole zone because there's potential for a track break when they don't have signal. And it probably took like 4 hours. So you had trains running through there at 5 miles per hour for 4 hours while they were fixing my mistake. And I was 100% certain I was done.
And is that definitely the type of mistake that people quite often get fired for?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
If I wasn't an intern, I would have been fired so quick.
They found out your dad was a lawyer, and they were like, "Oh, we can't."
I don't think.
Yeah, this guy's pretty litigious.
Dad saved me. He'd been like, no.
I'm
no
not going
thanks.
against the railroad.
I thought you were at work.
Oh no, he wouldn't mind that. He's like, I have better things to do. You figure it out.
So was the initial cable that got dug up, that was nothing, but it was that second time that was the issue.
So that's why I did it. I was like, well, I'm gonna save these guys time. I'm gonna be the hero of the day, and I get to run a backhoe today.
Yeah, like,
That's
cool.
awesome. Yeah, because I was this. It's like a field engineer. You're just stuck in a pickup truck all day.
Yeah.
Basically, just watching the geotech guy go test aggregate base, and then trucks are jacking off somewhere again, so you have to go wrangle them up. And hey, go drive down to the gas station 15 miles down the road to make sure all the trucks aren't just fucking sitting there.
Getting paid by the hour.
Getting paid by the hour drinking Red Bull.
Yeah.
So it was not a mentally stimulating job.
Yeah.
Do you think we need to bleep out jacking off?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We make this program for the construction industry.
Sure.
We're not making it for homeschooling.
Yeah, you jack off.
You jag off.
Well, yeah,
It's for you.
You jackass.
I'm using it as just like a jackass term.
Yeah.
Just like, you jack off. YouTube videos, though, we're trying to keep those more clean because I do want people to be able to watch those and learn from them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the podcast, different medium, I'm not worried about that kind of stuff.
Great.
It's free game in here, boy.
Yeah,
we do whatever we want.
It's the Wild West on this podcast.
It's the Wild West, and I'm Billy Big Rigger.
Billy Bigger, you seemed like you had a couple other ones that kind of, once you started, the ideas were flowing.
Unfortunately, they were flowing.
Yeah.
I have roasted some stuff in a snowcat. I have,
as in like doing snow removal.
No, like on a ski resort, because I spent a lot of time running snowcats.
Sure.
So I have, let's see, the worst one I've done was when I was grooming Parks one year. It was about 3 a.m, and at a ski resort, if you're from the desert and don't have a ski resort nearby, a terrain park has what's called features. So they're like man-made wooden and metal and plastic. So it's like a rail, X Games style. You hit the rail and you do the cool trick. And I was responsible for cleaning up around the features and making the jumps and stuff. And I was really tired one night, and I was trying to get done with this so I could go home. So it was like 3 a.m, and I backed over one of these rails with the snowcat.
Nice.
Fucking roasted it. It was just wood and splinters and pieces of plastic and metal. And I was like, whoa, that was bad. That was really bad. And I called my boss and I was like, hey, so you're probably going to fire me. And he's like, why? I was like, well, I backed over one of the butter boxes in the kiddie park. He's like, oh, shit. Well, did you clean it up? I'm like, no, not yet. Well, clean it up first. Hide it in the back. And then he's like, did you break anything on the cat? I was like, I don't think so. He's like, it's probably fine. We'll deal with it in the morning. I was like, okay, all right.
Okay.
They just couldn't afford to like find somebody else to replace me mid-season, I think. So they just dealt with it. That sucked. What else did I do?
Is there much in terms of the way of like, shit, I am going to have to redo this all the work that I did today. Like, is that pretty typical? Not for, I mean, obviously people wouldn't do it right, but is that like something that
There's a
happens
lot
pretty
of rework.
I've done a lot of rework.
There's a lot of rework.
Yeah.
Your own rework?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've set the same pipe a couple times.
Or sometimes contractors are coming in to redo all the work for another contractor. I remember there's this one job I worked on when I was helping out in estimating. It was this contractor. They just went belly up midway through a project. They're probably 60% complete doing a road reconstruction in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
So they just go belly up mid-project. All their equipment was still there. That's how belly up they went.
Holy cow.
All the equipment
They're
was
just like, company over, bye.
materials, like everything was just on the job still.
That's a vibe.
But they pull the bond.
Huh.
And so they have to go rebid the whole project, go all the way through the process again. So you have to come in and basically bid the work and also, okay, what's here and what is here that's correct.
Yeah.
And what needs to be all redone.
Cow.
So say it was like a $10 million project. The new bid after they were already 60% complete was probably like 12 million, 14 million.
That's crazy.
Because most of it had to be torn out and redone. So most of their work was complete nonsense.
How long does it take on a project that like that to just go through what had been done and be like, that's right, that's wrong, that's right, that's wrong?
It was a process.
I was going to say that that's not just like, I'll run out there this afternoon and then we'll kind of know for tomorrow. That's its own project.
Yeah, it was a bigger project. So it took a while to figure out just what there was to begin with.
And then it becomes an additional 2 to 4 million just to clean it up to get back on schedule.
Yeah, well, now your schedule's all messed up now and materials all over the place and traffic control's a mess. So it's not as simple as just, we'll pick up where they left off because it was just a disaster.
Yeah, you can't even trust that where they left off was the right place. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
Yeah, they had like the road, it was a lot of drainage improvements. Mm-hmm. So you'd be going through a wash and the road would just follow the contouring and would go right through the wash.
Yeah.
And so they had live traffic going through the wash like they had it originally. And then right next to it, they were setting boxes to then put the road over the wash. So they had just half finished box culverts basically at the level of traffic, if that makes sense, that all had to be pulled out.
Interesting.
Because they weren't set right.
Yikes.
Expensive.
Yeah, there's a lot of rework.
Expensive.
There's a lot of rework.
Expensive.
A lot of rework, a lot of compaction problems.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of pipe problems.
People are bad at compacting things.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, when you were talking about like doing your own rework, does that come from like you said, you laid pipe and then you go to like check it and be like, turns out I did that wrong. I need to redo it. Or is it somebody else came and reviewed it and said, that's not right? Like
the one scenario I could think of was like they tasked me with going and putting a sewer line in. And I was like, hey, so like I've never put in a sewer line by myself before. Not sure if I have this all buttoned up, but we'll give it a shot. So don't expect the best. They're like, no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. You can do it. And I went out and did it. And it was like way off. And they were like, what are you doing? I'm like, I warned you.
I specifically
you were supposed
told
to
you.
send somebody out to help me with this.
I did my best, and but it wasn't the best.
And then we pulled it out. We put it back in. The guy that they sent to help me wasn't great. It was wrong again. And they were like, well, this is bad. So then the owner came down and helped me put it back in. And by the time we did it the third time, I was like, I've got sewer set the rest of my life. I'm good to go on sewer now.
Yeah. Very rarely, though, is it, you screwed up. You're like, okay, that's a job well done.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back and bust you. The inspector, or they'll go pressure test you and it's a bust. And then you have to go figure out, all right, who did the valve wrong and megalog wrong or whatever it is. It's, there's good construction, bad construction. And there's a lot of bad construction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of it's like laziness.
Yeah, it's a lot of lazy. Oh, well, laziness one, or just not knowing how to do it correctly too.
Yeah.
Like there's no training.
No.
There's no way on here's how to properly, like we're talking about, how to properly use a megalug.
Yeah.
Like there's no training on how to do that correctly. It's just you're doing it out in the field, and you better hope you do it right the first time.
Yeah.
Well, other than just like money and time, why do you think that there's such little tolerance for like mistakes on the job in those sorts of ways? Is it just because it's expensive?
Expensive or liability.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I was talking about yesterday when we were doing our live podcast practice. There's an increasingly smaller and smaller and smaller tolerance for any kind of mistake whatsoever. And we're basically teaching people that making mistakes is not tolerated.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a key way of learning how to build stuff effectively, I feel like. And we're not allowing for that. And we're just expecting everybody to do it right all the time or else you're fired, which doesn't make sense from a workforce standpoint because you can't go hire people.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford to be firing people right now.
Right.
But it's kind of ironic because that's probably not how they learned. I guarantee you they have a long list of mistakes they've made,
For sure.
but you can't make them because it's going to cost me money or potential liability.
Well, and especially those people that are saying like, well, I don't make those mistakes anymore and nobody should be making those mistakes. Like, I'm sure there's a little bit of like, it doesn't, like you're saying, it doesn't even matter about my own personal background because now it's costing me money and like, I don't want anybody else to do it.
Well, yeah, and the industry is just different. Like it's pushed down by like GCs, project owners, a lot of times like zero tolerance mentality, which I think is good. Everybody should be safe.
Well, yeah, you also want to you also want the work to be done correctly and like everybody's trying to do it the best they can for the most part. I mean, of course.
Yeah, but I think it's counterintuitive. I think you you discourage risk taking, you discourage learning. Everybody's just trying to play it as safe as they possibly can, and everybody loses at the end of the day. I went to a project one time where a guy backed skid steer into something, scratched it a little bit, just straight to jail, fired.
Really?
Yeah, right there,
Right the way.
right away.
Wow.
right
Straight to jail.
Right the way.
Yeah,
Believe it or not, jail.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah, just fired right there.
Damn.
Not even okay. So have we acknowledged the mistake? No, you're done, buddy.
Huh.
Get the hell out of here.
Not like you're not running equipment anymore, but just like out of here.
Yeah, you're just fired. Yeah.
That's an easy way to build your own workforce too. You know, just
Well,
anytime anybody makes a tiny mistake, get out of here. I don't need you.
Everybody's looking around like, why can't we develop our workforce?
I fired them all.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm
You're fired. You're fired.
Oh. Damn.
Eric, in your experience, like working in the field, if somebody that reports to you, like they make like a mistake like that, maybe what's like the bad version of responding to that, and what's like a more healthy, probably useful version of that?
The
firing somebody.
bad version would be throwing my phone and hard hat in the
that
direction of the cab of the machine.
Yeah.
Wherever they're sitting.
Because that ends up being more about you. It's like I am very frustrated or whatever, but like I can't keep my own shit together.
I feel
so
like
I'm mad at you.
I feel like it helps me get my point across.
Sure. Well, it's all a tool.
When my hard hat makes contact with your nose.
Well, if it works well, it's great.
But then that's a safety write up. You're not wearing your hard
not he should have had his door closed.
Sure.
So I guess the proper procedure would be, hey, I messed up. What do we do? It's like, okay, well, we can fix this. No biggie. Where it becomes an issue is like, hey, I fucked up for like the 9th time today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe this isn't the right
Yeah.
line of work for you,
I
buddy.
backed over the 5th.
Or just like you're
Yeah.
you're clearly undertrained, underqualified to be doing the work you're doing.
Yeah. It's like I can only lead you to water so many times before you accidentally drown.
Yeah, but I feel like foremen also, they're not taught how to lead.
Yeah.
So they don't view that as a reflection on themselves first.
For sure.
First, it's a reflection on you. Have I explained this clearly enough? Because obviously it's not being understood. How can I do better to explain this more clearly? Or put this person in another position where they potentially are better suited for it. Like maybe they just don't get, hey, look behind you before you back up in a loader.
Yep.
And then if it's really not working, then you can obviously get rid of people that aren't working out. But I feel like there's a lot of steps in between that are completely skipped right now in today's workforce and most companies. Yeah.
Well, because we've talked a little bit before about like there is a certain level of ownership, like as a leader, that it's if somebody's making like those kinds of mistakes, you own at least some of that, where it's like if they're just like screwing off and like not taking it seriously, and you've given them this feedback multiple times and they're not like taking it, like maybe that's one thing. But like if Eric, like you were saying, like, you know, if you're having to go to somebody and say, this is the 9th mistake you've made today, is it because you are doing a poor job and you don't know how to do what you're doing, or have I not given you the proper instruction in order to do it correctly? Like there is like the gray area there.
Yeah, it's all based on whatever scenario, like how it all depends on how good of a leader you were being that day.
Oh yeah, but everybody's just like, well, this guy must be dumb. He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe his wife just asked for divorce yesterday.
True.
Fuck, I'm probably gonna be backing over chop saws too.
Yeah.
If my wife asked for a divorce the day before and I'm at work.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that's the reality sometimes. Or you know, I'm so miserable in life. I have to drink every night, so I come to work hungover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hungover. I'm feeling like shit. And I'm not focused right now.
Yeah.
I'm in a piece of equipment. That's not a safety hazard. It's like everybody's so hard on, oh, wear your hard hat, wear your seatbelt, this and that. But it's like the guy's hungover, and we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we should talk about that.
Well, I think a lot of that is just the culture of like, it's okay. We're done at the end of the day. Let's go to the bar.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, it's built in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, everybody's hungover.
Yeah. But it shouldn't be.
And that's the message of this podcast. Everybody's hungover, but
Yeah.
they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hungover right now.
Trick. I knew he was going to say it. I knew it, everybody. He was going to say trick.
Every time.
Trick.
Every time.
We've talked a bit in the last couple of days just about like, you know, that lack of tolerance for mistakes. But I think a broad theme that we've talked about many times on this podcast is that mistakes is kind of the way you learn. And so I thought it'd be interesting to talk about, you know, mistakes that y'all have made and kind of have seen, because I think that normalizes it a little bit. I think that's an important thing to talk about.
It was weird how many people reached out after I rolled the skid steer and posted about it. I mean, it was hundreds of people
It's crazy.
saying, like, thanking me for sharing about that. I didn't think I'd get
Were
any
there
kind
just
of
as many
response.
people that commented that you were an idiot?
A few, but it was overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was a lot of people that their opinion meant more who were reaching out. You know, it's like random people from the internet, like, you idiot. And then like people you really, really respect reaching out saying like, been there.
Well, I have a lot of respect for companies that'll post, you know, burned out equipment or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a haul truck go into a ditch today. Here's why. Here's what we learned.
Yep.
Here's the new, here's the new way we're going about it to prevent this from happening again. We're thankful everybody's okay. We just wanted to let everybody else know.
Yeah.
Or within NACO, you go into the lunchroom of any mine. They share all of the potential hazards at other mines. So it's not even an accident because they're buttoned up.
Yeah.
But it was, hey, you know, in our inspection, we found this problem with this machine, for example, that could have caused this hazard. But we want the other mines to know about this. They're open about sharing different issues they've come across within the different mining operations so that all the mining operations can learn.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Don't take those positive comments as an opportunity to flip the skid steer over again, though.
No. It was good advertising, though.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do once and just move on from.
I thought making it look like a cow was going to make it one of the more famous skid steers in all the land.
Wrong.
Putting it on its roof and it being a cow, that's what did it.
Yep.
It is really the combination.
That's what did it.
Nobody's ever done that before.
Yeah, that is one of the most well-known skid steers in the United States now.
Yeah. I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because so many skid steers are pretty nondescript.
Yeah, I mean that's not a trophy I was going for.
That's a hell of a flex.
But yeah, you do have the most popular skid steer in the country. I would venture to guess.
I don't know if I could declare it's the number one, but it's there.
Well, who are you competing with?
I don't even know.
Exactly.
What's his name?
Jake Hatch.
Yeah.
Black Ship Skid.
But he has
Black
several.
Sheep skid.
He has several though.
He does.
Yeah.
It's more about the skill than the exact machine for him.
Yeah.
Check. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Mistakes and stuff.
Yeah, thanks for talking about that, fellas. I really appreciate it. If you've got a good story or something you've messed up,
send them to me in my DMs.
Okay.
Send them to Eric in your DM.
Sure.
Yeah.
I get sent a lot of them.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
A lot of them I can't post.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't post them because
Yeah.
I'm not an ass, but
yeah.
I've seen some very reputable companies
Uh-huh.
that we are nothing but safety. I'm like, well,
No, I don't
that's
think
a
so.
boo-boo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoopsie daisy.
Whoopsie daisy.
Whoopsie daisy.
Or you'll get an excavator that hits a bridge, branded real prominently.
Now, let's talk about that. Why?
This construction company. You're
Yeah.
like, whoops.
Why?
Huh.
Why do you
That's
guys
great
keep hitting
advertising.
bridges with excavators lately? What's up with that?
Yeah, check the height of your load.
Oh my
I
god.
check the height of bridges.
There's like one a day now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's a ploy to get the bridges replaced.
It's effective.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy theory.
Well, but
I'm
you'll
developing.
see some bridges that you can tell they've been hit a little bit
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
and they're kind of crumbling.
Yeah.
They just have left it.
Yeah.
We don't have the money for that. Are you
Yeah.
I
kidding
think
me?
we'll get around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When we were in New York, some of the bridges that we saw were absolutely terrifying.
Pretty sketch.
Yeah.
East Coast
Just like-
bridges are
Just like raw steel poking out.
yeah. East Coast bridges, they have a design life of 60 years,
Yeah.
and they're
100 years
95
old.
years old. Yeah, 100 years old.
Yeah.
That's what people don't get. The design life of a lot of infrastructure, we're so far past it with
Yeah.
like very critical infrastructure.
It's not good.
Or that bridge going over the Mississippi.
Out of
maybe-
Memphis.
Yeah.
Oh
Memphis.
yeah, that was
They
scary.
they shut the whole interstate down because a kayaker was underneath it. Like, that doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty serious crack, everybody, and calls them. They shut the place down and they have to, redo a lot of the bridge.
Well, I
think
guess
it's
they
keyword
would
to get
after that whole incident down there. Wasn't that where that bridge collapsed? Where the bridge collapsed?
In Memphis?
Was it Memphis?
I don't
Or
know.
was it where it killed a bunch of people? Like 2009.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Okay.
Well, I think that's a Dirt Talk podcast. Eric Jumper, thank you for being here in town, hopping on the podcast.
I will send you the bill.
Thank you. We pay you at the end, so you got to do all your podcasts first.
Okay. How many do I have left?
We'll let you know.
Oh.
For Aaron Witt, Chief Dirt Nerd, CEO of BuildWitt, I'm Alex Horton. Thanks, y'all. And Aaron, do you want to say it? The catchphrase?
Stay dirty, everybody.
Theme song.